Hey guys, Brian Pintar here with your weekly market update. The number one thing I get asked is, will the Fed lower rates in 2026? And there's three factors that go into that. It's lower inflation, which we definitely do not have. In fact, inflation's on the rise. Is there a weakening labor market? So the labor market is weakening a little bit. 4.3 unemployment is still considered low to moderate, and it is up from what it was a year ago, but technically it's still pretty low. And then the third is economic slowdown. So GDP came in at zero point 0.5, which would indicate a pretty big slowdown. So the problem is the Fed really, if you lower interest rates into a labor market that's somewhat weakening and you have high inflation, you create stagflation. So stagflation, the very definition of it is high unemployment, which again, weakening labor market. So unemployment is rising. It's still good, but it is going up. And high inflation, that is something that's very, very difficult for the Fed to get out of. So we're probably not going to see a rate cut because rate cuts would lead to stagflation. However, that GDP number is scary because it's at zero point 0.5. And so, how do you get out of that? Real estate. So, real estate makes up about 12 to 18% of GDP, which is by far the largest contributing factor. And if you don't lower rates, how do you stimulate real estate? By doing quantitative easing. So, quantitative easing is the purchasing of mortgage backed securities to drive down mortgage rates. And it's what we did during the housing crisis or the Great Recession of '07, '08, '09. And it's what we did during COVID. So Trump was calling on in January, he asked Fannie and Freddie to purchase 200 billion in mortgage-backed securities, which is a good sign. The Fed also stopped quantitative tightening, and they actually started purchasing a lot of treasures. And they're saying to create a strong balance sheet for banks. But those are all signs that quantitative easing is pretty much right around the corner. The one thing with how much do you purchase? Well, if you look at '07, '08, '09, we had to purchase, the government purchased 1.25 trillion. And during COVID, we purchased 1.33 trillion. So to turn this thing around, especially what's going on in Iran, quantitative easing is probably what we'll see, which will drive interest rates down. So hopefully that works out. Call me if you guys have any questions. I'm super happy to help. Have a great day.